If you are new to the channel, then subscribe the channel and press the bell icon for further notification. Okay student, welcome you all to this basic level to a new topic that is again in coordinate geometry only, parabola. So before going to parabola, so let us discuss something about conic section, how this conic section came, what are the different shapes, what are the different conic sections we have. Okay, then let's discuss this. Okay student, in conic section, so what is conic? Conic is very interesting. Conic means it is like a cone shape, that is your ice cream. You take a ice cream in cone shape and you try to take the taste of this ice cream in different way. That means you bite it in different way and you will get different conic shapes. So that's the interesting part about conic. So let us see how many different shapes are there, what are these standard shapes. So it can be cut by a plane of in three different cases. We can see for our coordinate geometry. Suppose there is a plane, you have a cone and you have a plane, and you cut the cone at some angles or at some positions. So if you have a cone, you can think it a single cone. You can think of double cone back to back also, here also. Suppose you are cutting it in a straight. So you take a bite from this side. So what will be its face will look like? Its face will look like this. All your teeth will you will get a parabolic shapes. So you can feel it. If you take a bite from that side, so this, or you can taste it now also. You can buy a ice cream and take a bite from this side, and this will look like a parabola. This will be a shape of your teeth. So that is the shape of parabola. If I cut the conic in this fashion, so this is known as parabola. So if you take a cone and you slice it in between, not flat. If it is a flat, then it will become circle. You slices at some angle. So at some angle, if you give, then it will look like some elliptical shape, which will be an ellipse, which will not be a proper circle. If you slice it in this way, then you will get a proper circle. But if you slice it in this way, then you will get something of this fashion. That is your ellipse. And if you slice it in this way now, suppose back to back, now slice it. So you will have two parabolas upside down. One is this, one is this. So in that case, we say it is hyperbola. There is also another one, rectangular hyperbola. We will see later on. So this is the way, that is the basic shape. You have to some idea how the conic shapes look like. Okay, now in main geometry, in our coordinate geometry, we will not be taking any ice cream and we will not bite it. So you have to mathematically express it or mathematically derive it, or you have to write something so that this type of shapes can be formed. So what are the idea? The idea is we will take a locus of all points. Locus of all points means, again, locus. When I say locus, that means you say the path of the point. The path where the point can move. If the point can move along this path, point can move along this path. So this path we are describing, how this path can be formed. So the locus of the point which moves in a plane such that the ratio of the distance from a fixed point to a distance from a fixed line is always remains constant, then it is known as a conic. That means you have a point, fixed point, you have a fixed line. So the distance should be always fixed. So suppose you have a point of this fashion and you have a line of this fashion. So this is the fixed line, you have the fixed point. Now you take some points which are at the ratio between this by this. Here it is equal if it is. So you take all points where it is equal. So if I take this point, here also it is equal. So if I take this point, so you can see now it is also equal. If I take this point, so you can see any point, if I take this distance same. Again this distance is same. So you can see it is a parabolic shape. So in parabola the distance remains same. If it goes higher, then it will be hyperbola. If this distance from the point it gets smaller, then it will be curved like this. Then this will be more curved, so it becomes an ellipse. And if it goes beyond this, then it becomes something of this. So you will see this one. It depends on the ratio between these two distances. So there is a fixed point and there is a fixed line. So there are different names and we will see one by one. Okay. So for now you remember there is a fixed point, there is a fixed line, and if the distance is, the ratio between these two, distance between point and distance between line, if depending on the ratio, if you fix this ratio initially, that ratio should be this much. If you fix, then if you start drawing of all the points which maintain that ratio, you will find either of this shape, parabola, ellipse or hyperbola. So which one we will got at which time we will see. The fixed point is known as the focus, So there are different names. The line that you fixed line, that is known as directrix of the conic. The ratio at which you want to maintain, so that ratio is known as eccentricity. What is the ratio? Distance from the point. Which one comes first? Because ratio you need to know which by which. So the distance from the point comes first, then divided by line. First point, then line. So PF by MP. So you can think of first point came, then you joined lots of point, it becomes line. So first will be always point. So it is always point divided by line. So don't get confused. So it is E. How will remember? It is point by line, because point came first, then you join point, then it becomes line. Which came first? Point. So point will be in the first position. So that's why point by line. If it is equal to 1, that means if the ratio is same. So we have seen one drawing where it is same, that becomes parabola. If it is less than 1, that means if this distance is smaller and this is larger, so it will take a elliptical shape, because it will go inside close to this focus. Okay. And if it will be hyperbola if it is moves away from the focus. So it's something of this fashion, where it will move away. So if it is greater than 1, then it causes hyperbola. So 3 names you got depending on the eccentricity. Eccentricity, you know the ratio between these two distances. The perpendicular distance and the passing through the line perpendicular to the directrix. The line which is perpendicular to directrix and passing through the focus is known as the axis of that conic. So you will see this one. So in case of parabola, this parabola, if you can recall this parabola. So if you take this focus and join a straight perpendicular line with the directrix, then this becomes a axis. Through axis it will be symmetrical. This parabola, ellipse, all are symmetrical about whatever is upside up, that same portion is in down also. So in around axis it becomes symmetrical. So you will see also this one. So that line is known as the axis. The point of intersection of the conic with that axis is known as the vertex. So you see this is the axis. So this parabola point of intersection is this. So this point becomes vertex. Same for ellipse also, this point becomes vertex. Same for hyperbola also, this point becomes vertex. So you know which one is vertex. So that is the basic idea of the conic. If you like the video, then press the like button and please give your valuable comments in the comment section.